Commander. Making contact at point 003.
Welcome to the live action Star Wars. I'm Ralph.
I'm James.
And today we are discussing Obi-Wan Kenobi, A Jedi's Return.
I'm glad you wrote it down because I couldn't remember the title of it.
I didn't write it down.
Okay, it's just.
And I was gonna say it's up there. I was like, oh, what is it called? Return of the Jedi. That might be a fun bit. And then I was like, oh no, I title all the streams are right up there. So that for future reference, I'll make sure I get the titles correct. Yeah. Okay.
It feels like it's been a while. Again, it's one of those ones where, like, now that we're sort of back to every 2 weeks for at least a little bit, it feels like so long.
It does. Feels like a long time.
I mean, and the fact that I've started another podcast and released 2 episodes of it as well in that time also feels like a long time.
But the first one, he said it so much in this documentary. But not. He said it once, where when he said it, he just said it as conversation, but stopped and acknowledged what he just said and smiled.
It was that wink.
That
like,
it was like I just made a reference. I'm not going to bring it up, but you could tell that he knew what he said a long time. Okay, but it's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which was our old schedule. Our old schedule was every other week. And then the data link kind of just didn't happen last week. Kind of last minute. I was like fully prepared to do one, and I probably could have done it, but like it's been just like, working on this documentary. We're kind of getting into the crunch time as far as needing to wrap up shooting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're following Getting Lost Doc on any of the socials and stuff, you've seen a ramp up for sure. Like, you can tell that you guys are going hard at the moment.
Yeah. We already have a hot take in the chat from Chase that says the show is terrible. But Vivia Lyra Blair did a good job as young Leia. I will agree with one of those things and maybe disagree with another.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Ralph.
Yeah. We'll find out which one is which.
Wouldn't it be weird if we were flipped?
We just hated the little girl. I need to bring up some notes because I did take some notes. But it's been, so it feels like it's been forever, but you released along with Liz Top 10 Tacos, which I believe the first episode went up like the day of your teaser went up.
Your trailer went up, and then
like the day after we recorded.
Yeah, that went up, and then a couple of days after that, we recorded and released the first episode, and then yesterday, Tuesday, second episode of that just dropped. So if you like tacos, if you like two Brits talking about Mexican food, then go and subscribe. It should be everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify are your main ones, but I think you can find it in the other places as well. You should be able to. If you can't, drop me a message on socials. If you're on Blue Sky, everyone can be on Blue Sky now. So just drop me a message there, or send me a message on Live Action Star Wars, and I'll find it, and I will try and make sure it's on your podcatcher of choice. If you want to listen,
if you want to log into Live Action Star Wars and post on our behalf, it's the same password.
I really should. Now that I am ramping up Blue Sky a little bit more. I'm still not on there all the time, but I don't know. Just switching between accounts just feels like it's like one step too many. I think every update they're refining it a little bit. But
the switch accounts, you just press down on your little avatar at the bottom, and it'll bring up the menu. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Oh, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got like 12 accounts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it must be a pain otherwise. I will add it. It might just be one of those things where you get a random notification to your phone with someone's trying to log in, and then just be like, that's that guy.
My advice for people who use Twitter/X and are trying to move away from that. What I've done is, my suggestion is, put your Blue Sky app on your phone where Twitter
That's exactly what I
currently
did.
is.
Yep.
And then when you go to hit that thing, and it's nice and blue with the white logo, so it looks like the old Twitter icon. You'll click it with muscle memory.
Yep.
It'll open up, and you'll just see like nicer people, less
That's exactly what I
hurtful,
did.
trending stuff.
I buried the old Twitter app like deep into a third page in a folder, and I was like, it's still there for the occasional like DMs that we have to send, or like people that we've only got as contacts through that. But I'm slowly trying to sort of migrate those contacts to elsewhere so that we don't. I thought I could just be done with it.
Yeah, I have it on my second page because we have like 5,000 followers on Getting Lost, and I
was gonna say you got a documentary
be there to do that. And but I've been doing like live action Star Wars. I don't think I posted about this episode. It's still going there.
Okay,
it's on the live stream, still going there. But I would love to get a live stream going to Blue Sky. But if you're on Blue Sky and you see the post about this episode, you can just hit play, and you'll see us live whenever it goes live. Yeah, it just doesn't do a notification stuff. Whatever.
But you don't. We've both had codes for like ages now. But if you've been waiting for it to go public and like any of that, cool, join. It's available now for everyone. So it's fun. It's nice. Keep it fun and nice.
Yeah.
100%. We're not here to talk about social media though, or my other podcast. We're here to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right. So we watched the documentary Obi-Wan Kenobi: A Jedi's Return. Not groundbreaking, not earth-shattering, but luckily not as like they didn't
repetitive. It wasn't like the Mandalorian ones, which I found like after seeing one of them, I was like, okay, cool, this was fine, this was good. After seeing the second one, I was like, that's sort of very similar, but okay, this is fine. After the third one, I'm like, I just don't need to see these anymore. I'm done with it. Like,
wow, that sounds like my exact trajectory watching The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say that.
But the thing is, this made me want to rewatch Obi-Wan. Because,
me too.
Like, come to think of it, I've been thinking about all the Star Wars TV shows, and the whole time I've been saying like Mandalorian feels a little bit aimless. It's a sort of a procedural, and it's not really serialized, but it does feel like when they try to do serialized stuff, it's pretty aimless. It doesn't feel very nice, compact, and cohesive.
Doesn't quite hit the mark. Just impacted on the surface.
The Ahsoka series felt more cohesive, felt like a singular story. For me, fell apart at the end. Andor is its own beast, has three episode arcs that are pretty much perfect, like individual stories, and it's great. And then Obi-Wan, it's a complete story. It feels like it has a singular point of beginning, middle, of end. There's maybe some things to nitpick about, but that's even Andor has stuff to nitpick about. But I gotta say, like, I need to rewatch it because I'm thinking maybe I didn't appreciate Obi-Wan as much as I should have.
I think it's been so long now. It's not been that long, but it feels like it's been so long now. But I feel like just the internet and the general consensus around Obi-Wan was, that was crap, wasn't it? And that, like, no matter what you felt about it at the time, I don't think I ever really thought that, but no matter how much you enjoyed it and how much we've enjoyed it and talked about it, it seems to be that general consensus just permeates through. And so in the back of your mind, you're just like, oh yeah, that was a bit of a letdown, wasn't it? When in actual fact, I think back on it, I've really enjoyed it start to finish. Yes, I do think it would have been much better as a movie. But
100%.
A 2.5 hour movie and perfect. I think it would have been absolutely amazing. But I really enjoy it as a series.
Well, how about I bring this to the table? So we went to go see Wonka, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It made me happy. And that's all I want these days from my entertainment, is to be happy.
I was going to say, it's the opposite of me going to see an Iron Claw, which made me weep.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't say Wonka didn't make me weep.
Different,
Because
probably for different reasons.
I'm a big old softie for, the original movie
Yeah.
and the book.
Yeah.
It's probably the only book I've read more than once.
Wow.
I don't read. I really
Yeah, I
don't
know.
read.
I knew that.
I'm
but yeah.
struggling. I'm struggling getting through for the past 2 years. I've been trying to read From Russia with Love through an audiobook.
Okay.
And
Even
I'm
that.
on chapter 15.
Of.
I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, okay.
I think I have like 3 hours left.
Oh.
I had it set and I was going to listen to it on my plane trip to Hawaii, and I listened to 2 chapters. It's not a good one. It's the one where JFK put it on his top 10 favorite reading list of 1960 whatever, and that's kind of what blew up James Bond. But I'm like, I've listened to the
over
first
there. I think it was probably already a big deal over here.
Maybe, I don't know. I listened to the
I
first
don't
5
know.
and they were way better than From Russia with Love.
Wow.
I like them way more. Anyway, so Wonka, the point was we saw Wonka, and at the beginning of Wonka, they had trailers for Turning Red, Soul, and Luca.
Okay. Because they're all coming back
Pixar
to the theaters
movies.
over there, aren't they? Yeah.
But they've never been in theaters.
That's it. It's all the ones that
they're in the theater for the first time. So I was thinking about it. Yeah, let's do it. Maybe amp up the effects or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think
let's do a little sweetening of it.
It came out in such a time when Deborah Chow was the showrunner, and she'd just come off of Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett sort of time when they were going hard into the volume, and they don't bring up the volume once, which I love, that they don't mention it really. Like, it's there and it's in so much of the shots, and they're using it in this documentary the way that I'd like to experience it, where it's stepping into it as a viewer, as someone who can go and take it in like a museum piece. I want to go to the whatever museum, probably the George Lucas Museum, where they could have a volume soundstage.
Right.
That would be amazing. But they're using that, and they're using that for this footage of Ewan, and then Ewan and Hayden backlit to it, and it's so good, it's so effective. And you see the behind the scenes shots of it being used and implemented in the filming, and it's always super impressive. It's really, really amazing, impressive kit. But then you see the shots when they're actually out in the real world, and you go, there it is. That's super cool. Yeah. That's nice. They've built these sets. They've built this town. They've got Hayden out in the desert, and he's saying that he can't see Ewan McGregor because he's 200 meters away, and he just has to wave to him to get his eye and stuff like that.
And then the look of joy.
That look of joy, but that adds something to it, I think, and that's so nice. Yeah. And you do lose that, and I think some of the problems that we had with Obi-Wan were the smallness of the Jabim Rebel base and some of the other stuff where it felt small.
But to put in perspective, though, these 2 guys were used to working on nothing but green screens.
Exactly.
And in Star Wars, it's famously, definitely with the prequels, is green screen technology was the majority of the filming
for their 2 films anyway. Especially their 2 films.
Yeah. So if you can't be on a location, this makes more sense because you have adaptive lighting. It helps the actors, I'm sure, more imagine where they are when this stuff is kind of there.
They were shooting this the height of the pandemic as well. So there's so much mask protocol and the filming protocols of safety and everything like that they were having to deal with while they were filming that. It's you use what you can, you do what you can do. And if it's safer, if they can make that atmosphere safer and everything for them at that time, I've got no problem with it. If that's why there was only X amount of extras on set and why it felt small at times, fine. But maybe if they went back in and they could sort of flesh it out a little bit, redo the backgrounds. You shoot it on the volume.
Yeah.
Does that mean you could change that stuff? I don't know how it works, but maybe.
Right. I'm probably sure AI can pull the data that they know is in the computers.
Yeah.
To know what doesn't belong, what was in the volume and what's not, and be able to separate those out. The O'Shea Jackson walking into it and then
Oh
them
my God.
shutting it off
Yeah.
and him freaking out because it
Yeah.
like apparently looks super great while you're in there. It reminded me of Invincible with
The White
Cecil
Room.
Stedman in the White Room.
Mhm.
Go listen to Invincipod
Yep.
for those of you who don't know what
Coming
we're
back
talking
soon.
about. It's I don't know. It's the volume is kind of cool for TV shows.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really necessary for movies, but like I feel like doing an Obi-Wan the theatrical version, even if it's like a Fathom Events thing, where if there's like a
Yeah.
theatrical cut where people can
Yeah.
go for a day or a weekend, do a limited release just so they can see it. It would get, you know, just get us in the theater, do an opening crawl, do whatever you have to do. It doesn't need an episode title or an episode number.
They put episodes of Ahsoka in theaters. Like, why not do this? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think a recut, because I think like what Deborah Chow did with the show, I think is really good. And when you watch the show, it's hard to remember like that they were doing this in like everyone like was masked up like COVID, like
Yeah.
during COVID, during lockdown. It was hard to get stuff done, and you can see it's a little bit of a limited. There's limitations to that
For sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it's a horrible show,
No.
or terrible. I think it's a fine show. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. I think the stuff that shines is the Obi-Wan and Vader of it all.
Yeah.
Like George Lucas left it so Obi-Wan didn't know Anakin survived. He left it that way, but he also like kind of said like your father was killed by Darth Vader. So in Star Wars, so like he knows he's aware of Darth Vader by Star Wars. So
Yeah,
we don't
there is
know
something.
why he knows about Darth Vader.
Mhm.
And so the whole thing with the show, and I think one of the things that is my favorite part, and one of the things I was excited about, was Obi-Wan coming to the realization that Anakin Skywalker is still alive. And I think the way they
the
did it was
PTSD that he
great.
has, that whole like opening with 3 episodes and Obi-Wan's PTSD and coming to terms with it, and then even more so, it's he starts to get his mojo back a bit, and
Yeah.
then he loses it again when he gets his ass handed to him by Vader, and
Yeah.
that's really impressive. And then that's when you get the flashbacks and you get him dealing with it himself, and he hits his lowest point because he knows that not only did he not kill his brother, his brother slash son slash best friend, like whatever you want that relationship to be, however you feel about it, it's kind of all of them at the same time.
Mhm.
He didn't kill him, he left him. He's probably now suffered more because he didn't kill him, and he's now at the peak of his evil. He's fallen even further, and Obi-Wan blames himself, and he's always blamed himself for all of that. And so, and now the added stress of having Luke and Leia to protect. It's
well, that's the thing is
very,
these
very
10
well
years or however long it's been, like how like maybe 8 years, 9 years later, 5 years later, however old the kids are.
10, 9,
His
10.
part of the bargain was essentially stay on Tatooine and watch the boy,
Yep.
which he can do from a distance. He doesn't need to get involved with anything.
His biggest conflict is
Right.
with Owen, that he can't like be a little bit nearer to him.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when he finds out that Bail lost Leia,
Yeah.
it's like it's such a good idea, which threw me for a loop when I watched the series for the first time, because we were talking about him and Luke and like, oh, what is he gonna
And
like, his
only
interaction-
if he leaves Tatooine, it's a
Never even-
betrayal and everything like that. And like,
And we saw Luke in the trailer, and never once
Yeah.
did we think. I don't think we said the word to Leia once leading up to the series.
they did such good, and they talk about it in this where like
Yeah.
he was like Ewan was excited, and that was one of the things that excited him about this particular story. How everyone thinks they know what it's going to be. Everyone thinks it's going to be this thing where he's staying on Tatooine. Like there was the John Jackson Miller Kenobi novel where he's on Tatooine the whole time, and they were like, is it going to be anything like that? Maybe dealing with some Tusken stuff, maybe doing farmers, maybe Jabba, maybe something like anything like that. All these stories that we thought we could get.
Mhm.
I mean, hell, even Inquisitors coming to Tatooine, he has to deal with that. Like all of these
This
things.
felt like an
Maul,
EU book, by the way.
yeah, it felt
It
like
felt
an
like an
older,
EU book.
yeah.
Yeah, it felt like something that, I would hear stories about, because before the prequels came out, I had heard about Mustafar. I
Yeah.
heard about the fight on the volcano or whatever.
I
Like,
don't think it
that's
was
all stuff I
named
heard.
native, but at that point, but like
Right.
it was that volcano planet. We knew about that from like
Yeah.
85 when that like behind the scenes
Right.
book about the original things, and
Right.
yeah.
I bet you if this was just a flat out book that was released during this Disney era,
Yeah.
that it would be totally fine.
And people would be fine with
they-
it, and they wouldn't have the complaints that they do, and
Yeah.
it would. I mean, maybe it would have worked. Maybe the length of it and the padding out of it would have worked better on the page if you're gonna do it at this length. Maybe
Yeah.
because you don't need to worry about things like it looking great. Performances that some people didn't like, you don't have to worry about because it's however you read it.
What performances didn't people like?
Well, people didn't like Reva,
Just the
did they?
performance?
And it's
I mean-
that's the problem that I get into. People always argue that it was the performance and the writing, but
It's a well done character.
it is a well done character. It's a nice. It's
having a
People are
force
shitty.
sensitive survivor from Order 66 who was in the Jedi Temple,
That's how the show
and
starts.
then moving up the ranks to get to Darth Vader, I think is a really cool storyline.
Yeah.
And
She's
it's
she's
a
not
storyline-
good. She's not doing it out of good. She is doing it out of revenge. She is doing it
Yeah.
from the dark side of the force is what is doing that. But she is a vengeful character.
Yeah.
But she's also like, fuck all this. I don't give a shit about your empire. I want that guy. I want to kill him. Yeah.
And she fails, so she goes after his kid.
Yeah.
Which is
dark.
gnarly.
So
Like,
dark.
like it's such a good. I really like her story arc.
It's
and
like
it's
having
one of
no
those
red.
things where it's. I feel like it's one of those things where people weren't letting the story present itself because we don't know who she is, and then we see her in the flashback,
And
she
is abrasive. She is abrupt. She is a bit of a dick. But that's the point. Is you're not meant to like her. You're not meant to be rooting for her. She's the villain of the piece. But like, yeah, she's abrupt, and is like she's abrupt to everyone, and people didn't like that. They didn't find her relatable. I don't know what it is. I mean, there's two very obvious things that it's like. And just the way the world is at the moment, it's like you can't avoid it. It's people are shitty, and people on the internet are even shittier. Star Wars fans are quite often the worst. So you put all those things together, and you've just got a hodgepodge of just terribleness. And then, as we were saying, no matter how you actually feel about it, you see enough of that starts circulating in the culture enough, and you start looking for it. You start seeing it, even if you weren't looking for it. It's just too much of it is out there, and it's bullshit. I think a lot of it's bullshit. You don't have to like the character. I'm not saying that everyone has to like the characters, but if you don't like it, that's fine. Just have good reasons.
So here's a character I like, and I really didn't. I haven't really thought much of this character. Clearly, one of the most classic characters in cinema. And a character who is cool, and I didn't really, it really didn't hit me of Vader's involvement with this show. Like, obviously Vader needed to be in it, but it really didn't hit me how cool that is.
Yeah.
Until they were talking about Vader's first day on set, and everybody, all of a sudden there's way more people on set than normal. And I'm like, oh man, how cool would it be to be on a Star Wars set and see Darth Vader walk through the door? And then they show that, and I'm like, man, Darth Vader's like fucking awesome. He's been around since I was a kid, so he's always just been Vader. But it never occurs to me how much weight that character brings when you put him into a project. Like, Lucasfilm has to probably really think hard. Do we put Vader in this? So like Rogue One.
And I feel like Rogue One though, this feels like it carries so much more weight than Rogue One, and this show makes me dislike that scene in Rogue One more.
I agree.
Because it's like it would have, if they had held off, if they'd held out and not done on-screen live action Vader, because we'd seen him in Rebels and stuff like that. Great, cool, really enjoyed him in Rebels, but he was used sparingly. He's only in season 2, really, and even then, he's only in maybe half of it, and it's only when the story dictates. It's only for the Ahsoka stuff. But if they'd held out and waited for this and him walking through that town to be the moment that we see Vader in the Disney era, it still whacks a punch.
That's all hindsight.
But like, oh my god,
they didn't know at the time.
They didn't,
and
I feel like I
was
get
the
it. I get
thing Disney did.
Yeah, I get why they did it, and I don't dislike that scene. I just think.
But can I give you a rewrite on Rogue One?
Oh,
I'm sure everybody loves the hallway. Yes, everyone loves the hallway sequence, and I think Gary was probably gone by the time they.
I think he was. Yeah, I don't think he had anything to do with
that. Okay, here's my rewrite for Rogue One. Take out the Krennic Vader stuff. Vader can be mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of showing Princess Leia at the end saying hope. We just see the back of her. What's his name? Captain Antilles has the card, makes her way into the hallway. They jump to hyperspace, cut to the bridge of a Star Destroyer, seeing it taking off, and then Vader just standing there in the window, like classic Vader looking out towards
just from behind, just the silhouette of it. Yeah.
I think that would be super effective. Again, like hindsight, like this Rogue One was the second thing Star Wars did.
I think you can even have the Devastator come in the moment that it does in Rogue One, because that when it jumps in above Scarif and like the rebel ships have to sort of try and break off and one of them smashes into it. Love that. That is the Devastator living up to its name. It's so good. It's such an impressive shot. You have that, and in your mind, you're like, fuck, this is that. And then had the blockade runner, boom, hyperspace, and then you can just see the bridge, the classic bridge shot of Devastator. Vader stood where he stood. Silhouette. And then it jumps to hyperspace behind it, essentially like following. Just a slight it's not even a rewrite. It's just a slight re-edit, isn't it? You could do it quite easily, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
That'd be fun.
I just sent my messages to do not disturb.
It's all going off.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about O'Shea Jackson, his joy and him talking, like him saying that like it's Star Wars has always been such a family thing, just really gives me a lot of joy because you're like, hang on, we know who your family is, and that's super cool. So, like,
he did also say like him and his sister, but also like your dad had to have shown him, right? The dad's the like, one, right?
Ice Cube loves Star Wars is what we can infer from this, and that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. It was super cute. And then I was thinking, like, he's still young. That guy's young. His Star Wars would have been probably Phantom Menace. He talked about having once Duel of the Fates played at his wedding.
A weird choice, I think.
Weird choice for Hay.
The stars, right?
Probably a bit better, but he could name Duel of the Fates, so that's fine. Let him have it.
Yeah.
But he's I've enjoyed him in everything that he's done, to be fair. Like he's just seems like a really cool, nice guy he's a good performer, he's a really good actor. I hope we see more of him at some point. We said it during Obi-Wan Kenobi, but just throw that Rebel Cell in there. Like put them in something. Like Andor season 2. By that point in Andor season 2, like he should be at Yavin base. He should be part of the main alliance. Like have
Monarch Legacy of Monsters thing where it's like Ice Cube and O'Shea Jackson like as the same character in different timelines.
Have Ice Cube at the Battle of Endor, or even like Return of the Post, like in the sequel trilogy era. That'd be great.
Yeah,
love it.
Can I tell you something that made me absolutely happy? Again, we see the lightsaber stuff. We see him picking his lightsaber, which is terrific. But they show him coming in to get his new lightsaber for the series, and they have on the table the episode 3 version with the circuit board and the episode 4 version with the bubbles.
Yep, yeah.
And then tell them this is the in between that we're using. And it made me so happy that they were so detail oriented, because in episode 3's Anakin saber, it looks way different than episode 4, the Skywalker saber. Again, the bubbles and the circuit boards are different. And like the gold band around it with the red button are all different. So like that level of the detail made me so happy, because something that George probably didn't give a shit about, and the prop makers like didn't stick to it as probably close as they should have. But it is nice that there is that chunk of time. There's that 20 years, but where the Obi-Wan production team was like, we need to address this.
Yeah,
you know, this is just for fans like Ralph.
I love the idea that they just presented him with a box and said, pick your lightsaber. But I still think they probably, if they did that, I think they lent him in the direction of the one that he did for episode 1, because you look at his episode 1 lightsaber, and it does have like some similarities to his old Ben lightsaber as well. Like there is some look to it, in the same way that the Luke lightsaber has similarities to the old Ben lightsaber, because that's what he would have used as his reference. Like there's a through line there. But I like it. It's nice. It's just, I mean, it makes for good content that you can show. It's like, it's a good clip, isn't it? And they've got that footage of him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there was no Jimmy Smits in this documentary, and like, because they talked to Joel Edgerton and Bonnie Pierce about how it was nice for them to come back, but there was no Jimmy Smits at all, which was like a little bit disappointing, I thought, because he always seems really charming. He's always game to play Bail Organa.
He probably shot for like 1 or 2 days, maybe they didn't.
Yeah, he wasn't in it all that much.
He probably came in just to shoot his scenes and probably didn't have time to sit down and chat.
Yeah.
Whereas the others did, because he probably just showed up to like either the volume or a set or something. He wasn't out in like wherever that location was, where the markets were and stuff. Joel Edgerton was. So maybe they just had more time. More time to they were definitely in more of it, so they probably was just like, yeah, cool, because they didn't really do a sit down with Ian McDermott either. Like they had some behind the scenes footage, but that was all shot over here, so that was full
all
makeup. Yeah, full makeup just to shoot his small amount of scenes. It was just a hologram, right?
Yeah, I mean, for now we don't know if they shot anything else with him, like
cover for head to toe. Yeah, exactly. Like they could put him in anything. They could just like, you know,
just run some lines,
just saying every line.
If you're gonna go through that much effort to do that, then just run some lines, get a bunch of other stuff
and manipulation and CG. You can have them say whatever you want. They probably just had him say like whatever 20 key phrases he needed to say, so they can feed it into a voice generator like Luke Skywalker.
Love that he was tripping up on the word execute though.
yeah
that's just fun.
Seeing the reunion of Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, I mean, come on, it was just brought me so much joy. Like them talking about being brothers, and then the look that Ewan gives when Hayden walks into the volume. It's just like these guys, you know.
It's one of those things where it's like Hayden stepped away for a long time. He went and had his ranch and his family and everything like that, and understandably so, but he knows that he's never going to be able to escape it. And we've talked about it at length with people like Ahmed Best, and how we do wish Jake Lloyd well and hope that he is able to get the same sort of redemption arc that Ahmed and Hayden have had. But like, it's so nice seeing him come back, and I think there's probably some trepidation with it. He probably knows that not everyone's going to love it. He got a lot of hate back then. But George assured him then, it's like, the kids who are watching this will grow up. You are their Anakin. You are going to be this. And we're at that stage now, and he's waited it out, and he gets to come back now, and he gets to live it, and he gets to be a part of it. But I also get the sense that they might not check in. They might not remain like close pen pals or anything like that. But Ewan and him always got on. Like they were super close. like closer than he and Natalie Portman were, who they were fine, they were great, but she's gone off and had her career. She was kind of checked out by episode 3, but again, like she's someone who is willing to come back for the right story. So you never know. We might get some.
It's got to be tough because like anytime someone says or anyone gets to be in a Star Wars is like a huge deal, and you're going to do your hardest to do stuff, and then when people don't like it or people shit on it or whatever, it feels like probably it's a little bit of a betrayal. Like you were like sort of promised like, oh, the greatest franchise ever, and then just to get squashed. What's great about this is that after the movies came out, Hayden Christensen probably went on and the only thing he had from Star Wars was great memories on the set and the shitty stuff happening after the fact. And for him to be able to go back and be with Ewan, the guy who probably represents the good times.
Absolutely.
The good times.
Yeah. It's like, even if this got, that's it. Even if this came out and it was shit on and everyone was like still hated him and they didn't want him back and they never want him back for Ahsoka, he gets to go and hang out with his mate again and do the stuff that they did back then and have fun with it. The behind the scenes saber stuff now looks like 2004. They still got it. Like it's the two of them.
Like seeing them older because they're both definitely older.
Yeah,
they look great, but they're definitely like 15 years older. Oh, fucking 20, almost 20 years,
25.
19 years since Revenge of the Sith. That's nuts. But to see them at it, and it's like that is Anakin, that is Obi-Wan, and it's so funny because they keep saying like Deborah Chow keeps saying how Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan, and in 1999 I would have said no. Alec Guinness is Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But we're at the point now where like Alec Guinness probably spent a total of maybe 20 days on Star Wars. I don't know. Return of the Jedi, he shot in one day for sure. Empire Strikes Back, one day tops.
No, Empire, I think he probably had maybe a week because of all that stuff. Like
maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, he just shows up as a ghost at Hoth, and then shows up as a ghost before.
Not much, is it? Yeah, his voice. Yeah.
But it's not a lot of time. And I know he originated the role and stuff, and I love Alec Guinness, but at this point,
flawless performance as Obi-Wan. But
Ewan's picked it up, and it's what's great is he doesn't overtake Alec Guinness. He feels like the same character.
It's
kind of like
always
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah,
it's like Alden Ehrenreich. He's not taking away anything that Harrison Ford did, but he definitely feels like the same character. It feels seamless.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ewan's has done it for longer and for more screen time.
We just got more of it. Yeah. You and I both we talked about
Obi-Wan for 25 years.
Yeah. You and I talked about it. We've talked about it whenever Return of the Jedi comes up in the Force Ghost thing, and how we both turned a corner, and now I prefer it being Hayden Christensen over Sebastian Stan. Sure, Sebastian Stan's different. That's Luke, right? Yeah, it's like I prefer it as Hayden, and that is one where weirdly, like, I'm still okay with it being Alec Guinness there, but I like it being Hayden. It's a weird one because we've got no attachment to Sebastian Shaw other than just seeing him under the mask at the end.
Right. And I feel like what's nice about it is it's what Luke sees. Luke sees, he knows Obi-Wan, his friend, is Alec Guinness. He never got to meet Anakin.
No,
he never got to meet Anakin, and I think it's great.
In his prime, like,
and I think it's great for him to get that vision.
It's more like he's gone, and I know that he redeemed himself, but also he feels it himself. Anakin feels it, and he's been embraced by Yoda and Obi-Wan. So for Luke, the only two people that he knows who had a connection to him, He
What's
doesn't
great too
always
is
care about
Luke,
Qui-Gon or anyone like that. But like, yeah,
before The Empire Strikes Back, Luke had this vision of what his father was.
yeah,
And then in Empire Strikes Back, he finds out who his father is. So it's nice for Luke to be able to see, like, hey, listen, you weren't wrong about this great guy.
Mm.
You just never got to see him. So it's nice for him to be able to get to see him.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, for as great as it is to see Hayden in Ahsoka, and it's nice to see like Rosario Dawson and Hayden interacting and things like that. That's all story stuff. Like the joy that I get from seeing Hayden and Ewan together, it's like it carries more because we saw it before. It's more referential, and it's like it just seems nice, and they just seem like genuinely happy to be around each other.
Yeah.
And they're both good actors, but you know, I like to think that it is a genuine thing.
There's this internet thing going around where people are trying to campaign to get Hayden Christensen to play Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic 3.
Really?
And I'm like, that's so what a weird thing. But then after watching this, I'm like, you know what? I like Hayden Christensen. It would be nice to see him.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like, I mean,
Shadow.
he's popped up now in Star Wars. Like, I hope that he starts getting more things. But he also strikes me as the kind of guy who'll pick and choose now. He's like, I've got that Star Wars money. I don't need to overexpose. I don't need to do this. Like, if projects come along and they strike my fancy, great. But otherwise, I'm good. I've got a farm. Like, yeah. He seems like he's got his head on, which is nice. It's nice to see. Someone who, like, we were talking about what people who had been through some shit because of Backlash and was also in this. Kumail Nanjiani. Today, like, there was a bunch of news about him going through therapy and like is still sort of traumatized about all the hate that the Eternals got when that came out. A movie that I didn't really like all that much, but
I didn't see.
Yeah, there you go. It's totally skippable, but I didn't think it was like the worst thing ever or anything like that. But Camille is great, and I think he's really charming in this. He's doing his thing. He is more still his comedic thing, but I really liked that character when he came back later in the series. Like
It's good casting.
It's good casting, and someone else who could come back later on, like, would be happy to see more of Haja, is it? I can't remember his name. Yeah.
I thought it was great. It's one of those things where you see his name show up as you know, part of the cast, and you're like, oh, he's probably a wacky droid.
Yeah, but I think we when we did our trailer breakdown, we were picked out. There was the droid whose name is escaping me, who helps everyone.
No, that's someone else.
You're
the big yellow
B2.
dude.
Yeah, the big yellow like loader.
There's too many characters. I used
and
to
they've
know
all got a
everything
droid.
about Star Wars.
They've all got a droid. But I think we both thought, oh, that could be him. He could be a voiced droid, and that could be where Kumail comes in. But no, he wasn't. But that droid was also great and lovable. I think it reminded me of Baymax. I think that might be where you're going as well with it from Big Hero 6.
Right. Maybe there's an L. There's an L in there. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Talking about droids though, Vivian Lyra Blair playing young Leia, she is amazing. She, like, seeing her, we know that she's amazing. We've all seen it. We all know she's great in this. Seeing her audition tapes or her chemistry read with Ewan is so good because she's got it from, there you go, Ned B. Seeing her behind the scenes and hearing her talk about how she learned to read because of Star Wars, like it was reading Star Wars books that helped her read, and then just the way she said, like, she is so ahead of her years. The way she's like, and then, you know, R2D2 came into my life and I fell in love. It's amazing. And you see her just on set, just playing with the droids because she loves droids more than anything else in the world. And it's amazing.
I mean, and then people shit on her. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's the whole don't yuck people's yum.
Yeah.
You know, like people, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
People, there is a
it's not for
backlash
you,
to
cool.
like spunky kids and things like that, like a precocious kid.
Yeah.
Like there is always a backlash to that, and it can be grating, I think, when it's not done well. But she was so good, and she was Leia. I think that's the thing. Leia is precocious. Leia is that character. So to see her fully embracing that, like you can see how that little girl grows up to be the person who's just been captured by the scariest, most evil guy in the universe, and all she can do is talk shit about him to his face when she's about 3 foot shorter than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes sense, you know, that Obi-Wan helped guide her in her youth.
It all does. It's additive. It's what we say all the time. It does what these shows do when they are hitting it best. Is they are additive to that movies.
Yeah.
It makes the Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi message better. This show makes that message better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
I agree.
Documentary itself was fine. It was all right. It was nice.
Did you notice it?
It's nice to see all of this stuff, though. It's nice to see the behind the scenes of these guys.
Did you keep tabs of like who wasn't masking up?
I didn't. I did.
Shoot? I did notice too.
Oh, go on.
What's her name? Moses Ingram? Is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Bonnie Pace.
Pierce.
Yeah.
Peace. Yeah. Interesting.
Which is weird for Bonnie because she seems, you know, easy to kind of get wrapped up in what other people are doing and follow along, and right.
Yeah, and also like
she's in that cult, right?
Is that her?
Right? There's a doc. I don't remember. It was like the Nexium cult or something. She was in one of those like HBO shows as a person in a cult, which was crazy when they announced her for this, because people were like, "Oh wait." Now I'm looking that up because I don't want to get my shit wrong. Bonnie. I'm just gonna type her name in and cult.
Yeah.
Is the Nexium, the NXIV.
Oh wow. Oof. It's not like the chick from Species.
She escaped the cult.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But still.
Yeah.
Okay, so she escaped in 2017 and was like an outspoken detractor.
Wow.
I think she's in The Vow, the HBO documentary.
Yeah.
She's in that.
Crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah. But she got asked back to Star Wars.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice. And again, her and Joel Edgerton just seemed like super charming. They probably had like, they were in 2 movies together, but they shot them both during episode 2. Again, maybe a week's worth of work, 2 weeks worth of work back then in 2000, and that would have been 2001, 2002 that they shot that probably.
Right.
Both Aussies, they maybe had worked together in other things or knew each other outside of it. They certainly seemed familiar, but
I feel like here's the thing. Like, again, you get promised to be in Star Wars. Wow, what are you gonna do? And you're like, I can't say. I can't tell you what I'm doing. But they could probably talk to each other.
Of course.
They probably studied the performance of the original actors. They probably had a lot of phone conversations. They also probably flew to Tunisia together, because they were definitely in Tunisia.
They were
along with like probably Hayden, Natalie Portman, and Anthony
Golden
Daniels.
Tony. Yeah.
That was probably it. And then like Clee Larson and stuff.
And the old guy,
But I mean, they were partners. Every scene they had were pretty much together. They probably ran line scenes over and over again. It was probably, you know, they were probably thrown on the promotional tour circuit together as a pair. They were so tied together that, you know, after, you know,
they would have hung out a lot more.
20 years, it's probably like, oh, great. We get
it's so funny because we say this about how it's been so long, and it's like I've got friends who I've probably not seen for 15 years, but like if they pop back up and I went and grabbed a drink with them, you'd be able to catch up very easily. Like we all get old, and 15 years doesn't feel as long.
But Also, they're being re-injected into the whole reason they know
same-
each other.
Yeah.
So it's you probably get like a nostalgia hit. You probably get like, I can't believe we're doing this. Isn't this fun?
But they say it's like
we already went through all the BS and
Yeah.
all of the big stuff. This is just like a kickback. We're here for another week, hanging out,
Mm-hmm.
doing a show with these characters that we did, and
they get a lot more to do in this, which is great.
Yeah.
But
there's no
all-
pressure. There's so much
No.
Star Wars out there now that it's like, oh, it's not like
well, now especially
it's
like
not
then
there's
there was
not
only
like
a
this
couple.
sort of weight of 30 years of waiting for this movie to come out.
That's what I hope for shows going forward, is that they've seen that there's not everything is going to be loved by everyone, and you're going to get that backlash. And I hope that it gives people that sets them free to like do stuff, do what they want to do, give a performance that they want to give, write the stories that they want to write, knowing full well that like, fuck it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I feel like Tony Gilroy was that way. I
don't think he gave a fuck to begin with.
Star Wars. Yeah.
But like, I hope that it gives them that, because they're like, no matter what we do, it's not going to please everyone. So fuck it. Let's just go and make what we want to make. And they hold that conviction as opposed to trying to make something that is all crowd pleasing. What's the Wayne's World line? Led Zeppelin didn't make songs that everyone liked. They left that to the Bee Gees. Like, like let's just do that. Just be Led Zeppelin.
Again, someone mentioned that they wanted to see some great new indie director do Star Wars, but didn't know if they would be able to hack it. I say, let the small indie director that wants to make a Star Wars, make a small Star Wars movie.
Yeah, don't hunt them down. Let them pitch to you.
Yeah. And let's just be like, okay, that's just give us a modest budget Star Wars.
Love it.
Do that. I got a little PTSD when after the documentary was over, they cut to Celebration 2022. And I was like, I was there, and they were like, okay, we're going to release 2 of them on this day. And I was like, I got a podcast to do.
Yeah.
I think it all got sorted out because they ended up releasing it at 9:00 the night before, like it was like East Coast time or something. It dropped, but I was like, oh my gosh, I need to not worry about this show. I just need to enjoy Star Wars instead of being like, oh no, is the schedule gonna work?
That content, it's got just have fun with it. It's man, I love seeing that stuff. There's something about seeing Celebration and seeing the reactions that everyone has and seeing those guys on stage.
But Ewan says, I think it was Ewan who said it. He said he loves doing it because he gets to see like the real Star Wars fans. I think there was a hesitation of saying that, but it's true. If anybody's been on the internet, which we all have, versus anyone going to this actual celebration, it's a different vibe. Everyone at Celebration is actively getting up and going out to enjoy Star Wars, as opposed to
embrace
just
the love,
being wherever your phone is and just tossing out opinions. Like, these are fans who are making an effort to look the thing, to go show the love for this thing.
Always during those bits, and they've shown them at a few of these documentaries. That's when I get glassy-eyed, is because I'm just like, fuck, I love that. I love that feeling. There's nothing like it. And like, Celebration is exactly that. It is the most perfectly named convention. It is just a celebration of that stuff that we all love.
We went to that one in 2022, which was 2 years ago, and I still feel exhausted from it. It was a lot. It was a lot. And so I'm like not excited to get back to one because
I'm
it's
excited,
tiring, but I do want to be there.
I did the London one last year, and again, that same thing. It's exhausting, but it's amazing. I probably won't be able to get to Japan next year. I can't imagine being able to get to Japan next year. But after that, like, they've got to be back stateside, I would have thought. And I feel like no matter what, we're going to be there for that one. I think both of us have to be there for that one. And I'm excited about that, knowing that we've got some time. We've got some time. We can make that work. We can figure it out properly. But like, it'll be great.
Yeah. I like
Like,
Star
so
Wars still.
Star Wars is
This
great.
this made me want to revisit episode 1 for some reason, even though
Cool.
Hayden's not in it, but it made me like, I think it was mostly the seeing Liam Neeson's excitement.
Oh yeah, he seemed really like happy to be back.
Like speaking about a guy who couldn't have been there more than a day.
Oh, for
Seemed
this, yeah, no.
so excited. He's like, I have to be there. This sound like he looks so happy.
Well,
And
as soon
again,
as he heard
I
that
think
Ewan
that's-
was back and he heard what the story was, and when they pitched him on like why Qui-Gon would be there at this point, because he's gone through this lowest thing and he's overcome it, and he's like, oh, that's great. I love that. Like, and he'd done a couple of voice like cameos in Clone Wars over the years, like at the end of that. But yeah, as
but you
soon as
can
he
just tell,
heard,
like, you could see it in his eyes, like the excitement. It brought him back to like when he was on set with George.
yeah,
You know, he seemed very, very excited to be in the
they
Jedi. But
all
seeing him
they
in the Jedi
all
was great.
talked about George. They all talked about being this is a continuation of George, like,
Right.
which was nice.
Yeah.
It's great. It's good stuff. Obi-Wan Kenobi, really good show. If you didn't like it, maybe give it a revisit. You might like it this time around.
I'm thinking from now on, anytime Disney drops one of these making of things, I'll just give it a couple of years before I watch it, because
maybe, yeah,
because if I watch this right after the series, I'd be like, oh, okay,
yeah.
all right.
I mean, that's when I watched it first time around, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool.
I hadn't seen it. Yeah, I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah. I watched it when it dropped, and I was like, yeah, cool, it was good, and that made me go, yeah, I enjoyed that show. That was a good show. But now it makes me go, yeah, I remember this and I remember that, and that was really good. And wasn't it cool to see the airspeeders flying in and attacking that base? Like, it's like stuff that we didn't even see in the documentary. Seeing the behind the scenes around it made me go, oh, and there was this bit and there was this bit. Like the city planet, I can't remember, like the Hong Kong planet. Fucking great. What a cool looking place. I'd love to see
the
more
clone
of that.
trooper with the clone trooper begging.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good show. I definitely want to revisit it. Let's get a Disney. Let's get a theatrical cut version of this.
It'd be cool.
Yeah,
it'd be really fun.
I mean, they did it with the Clone Wars cartoons.
Yeah.
They made a theatrical movie out of that. Like, just do the same thing. We'll do better than that.
But you can trim it as well. Like, you can make it fit. I should pull up a list, really, because we're going to be back in 2 weeks. I'm going to call it now that we are going to skip a data link next week.
because of Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, sure, why not?
I just popped up in my calendar. It's Ash Wednesday. It's Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, isn't it? Yeah.
It's
the
Tomb Raider trilogy comes out for that.
What, video game?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's the revamped.
The new ones.
Graphics. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Sweet. No, it's the old Tomb Raider.
Oh,
games
the old
from
ones.
the 90s.
Oh, wow.
With new graphics. It's the first 3. Stevie's excited for. We tend to pop stuff like we're excited about. We pop it in our shared calendar just so we're aware of things, because there's so much stuff out there. There's so many movies and things that we want to see and things we want to do. It's just easy to be like, oh, that's coming up.
So how do you feel?
I'm gonna say happy birthday to Stevie too. Her birthday's on Saturday.
Stevie's birthday on Saturday. It's like going to be our last episode before that.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy birthday, Stevie.
Yeah. Fan of Reva.
Yeah.
She's 007. Did you know that?
Was that her?
Moses Ingram. Yeah, she's 007.
Oh, that's awesome.
In No Time to Die, because Daniel Craig is his James Bond retired.
Yeah.
And so she's his replacement. Spoilers, but she's 007.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, how great is that?
I just completely. I think maybe it's a name that when I saw No Time to Die, I missed it. Like I was like, oh, that's her, and then I didn't think about it again. But yeah, that's cool.
It's James Bond and Star Wars.
Bring her back. Bring her back into the next one.
She just needs to be in a kaiju movie, and she's got my trifecta.
And Superman 2. She could be in a Superman 2. Why not? James Gunn's second Superman movie when he makes that. Yeah. Like, she can be in that. She can hit all of them. Was she in Game of Thrones? She could be.
Yeah.
No. How do you feel about doing some trailers? We go back and we watch either like any of the trilogy's trailers.
Let's go with the original trilogy trailers.
We do original trilogy trailers, non-special edition or including special edition.
I don't know. I'll download a bunch and we can watch them as we.
Yeah, but I think because it's one that we can like
stream.
watch as we do, like watch
Yeah,
as we do the
let's do
episode.
it.
It'll be a watch along. Should we do a trailers watch along and like because we can talk about our feelings and how we thought of them at the time, any memories of those trailers. They're fun. Trailers are great. I love a good movie trailer.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Sounds good to
So
me.
in 2 weeks' time, Star Wars original trilogy movie trailers. Don't need to do any homework. Just tune in and watch along with us.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, go follow Getting Lost Doc on everything. Go follow and subscribe to Top 10 Tacos on
10
everything.
tacos.
And
I
yeah,
left
we'll be back.
I left a review on
Great.
iTunes.
I don't think I can see them because they're in a different country, but I might be able to. I'll have a look.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, that stuff helps. So yeah, go do that. I don't talk about that over there or here. You can do that.
I mean, it was
to this show as well.
essentially me saying I've been waiting for years for a UK-based taco review show, and it's finally here.
Amazing. I mean, yeah, we're just giving people what they want.
Sarah says, "Have a good day, everyone." Sarah, I'm gonna try. I have some text to respond to once I'm done with this. Yeah.
Yeah. But remember, everybody, don't give in to hate.
I'm finding
Got him off guard. Got him off guard. I was going off of what he just said. Don't give in to hate.
Celebrate the love.
Eat a taco.